The vast darkness of space stretched out like an endless black canvas, punctuated by distant starlight. The Resolute drifted silently, a sleek human spacecraft that had become more than just a vessel. It was now a home for 15 individuals, who no longer belonged anywhere else in the galaxy. Captain J. Park stood at the bridge, her posture rigid but her eyes betraying a complexity of emotions. She was young for a captain, barely 35, with short black hair pulled back tightly and a scar running along her right cheek, a reminder of the mission that had cost her everything. The ship's interior hummed with a quiet tension. Each crew member knew their status: exiled, branded as traitors by the Galactic Confederation. Their crime? A controversial decision that had seemingly betrayed the intricate political balance of multiple alien civilizations. Lieutenant Hyun Kim monitored the quantum sensors, his fingers moving with practiced precision across the holographic display, unlike many of his colleagues who might have broken under the pressure of their collective disgrace. Hyun remained focused and disciplined. "Captain," he said softly, breaking the silence. "Something's not right with these readings." Jay walked over, her boots making a soft metallic sound against the ship's polished floor. The holographic display flickered with strange energy signatures that didn't match any known cosmic patterns. Most captains would have dismissed such anomalies, but Jay had learned that in the vast emptiness of space, nothing was ever truly random. "Zoom in," she commanded. The display expanded, revealing a complex web of quantum interactions that seemed to pulse with an almost living energy. Hyun's hands moved quickly, running multiple diagnostic checks. "These energy patterns," he muttered. "They're building towards something big." The crew of the Resolute was an unusual mix. Some were veterans of previous space conflicts, others were specialists in fields ranging from quantum mechanics to xenobiology. What united them was a shared experience of being cast out, of being labeled as something less than honorable. Soo-jin, the ship's lead engineer, entered the bridge. Her coveralls were stained with machine oil, and a complex tool belt hung from her waist. She had a reputation for being able to modify equipment in ways that defied standard engineering protocols. "The quantum drive is stable," she reported, "but these readings Hyun is showing, they're not just unusual, they're potentially catastrophic." Jay understood the implication. Whatever was developing in the cosmic landscape before them could represent a threat far beyond their current outcast status. The irony wasn't lost on her. They were potentially the only ones who could recognize and address this emerging danger. The ship's communication systems remained blocked. No official channel would accept their transmissions. No allied fleet would respond to their warnings. They were alone, drifting at the edge of known space, with a potential galactic threat developing around them. "We need a plan," Jay said, her voice calm, but carrying an underlying current of determination. Hyun began calculating potential intervention scenarios, his neural interface connecting directly with the ship's computer. Complex mathematical models started forming, revealing potential pathways to disrupt the growing quantum anomaly. Soo-jin moved to a secondary console, already designing modifications to their existing equipment. Her mind worked like a machine, breaking down complex problems into solvable components. Outside the ship's reinforced windows, the cosmic landscape seemed peaceful. Stars twinkled, distant nebulae glowed with soft colors, and nothing suggested the immense danger that was quietly building. But the crew of the Resolute knew better. Branded as traitors, cast out from their previous lives, they now stood as the potential last line of defense against a threat that could destroy entire civilizations. The quantum anomaly grew larger, its edges flickering with an unnatural blue-green light that seemed to pulse like a living heartbeat. Inside the Resolute, the crew worked with intense concentration, knowing that their warnings would fall on deaf ears. Hyun's fingers moved rapidly across the holographic displays, tracing the complex patterns of energy that were slowly spreading across multiple star systems. His neural interface connected directly with the ship's advanced computer, processing information faster than any human mind could typically manage. "The growth rate is exponential," he muttered, more to himself than to anyone else. "It's not just expanding, it's consuming." Captain J. Park understood what most others would miss. This wasn't a random cosmic event. It was something deliberate, something intelligent. The quantum anomaly behaved with a purpose that defied standard scientific understanding. Su-Jin approached the main console, her engineering tools hanging from her belt. "We've got maybe 72 hours before this thing reaches critical mass," she said, her voice steady but filled with an underlying tension. The Galactic Confederation's communication channels remained stubbornly closed. Their previous mission, the one that had gotten them exiled, had been controversial. They had exposed a secret weapons trade that implicated several high-ranking alien diplomats. The result was their complete removal from official channels. "They won't listen," Jay said, looking at the blocked communication protocols. Not after what happened. What had happened was complex. During a routine diplomatic mission, Jay's team had uncovered evidence of a massive weapons smuggling operation. The weapons weren't just standard military equipment. They were quantum-based technology capable of destabilizing entire planetary systems. When they reported their findings, instead of being praised, they were branded as traitors. The very governments they had tried to protect had turned against them, seeing their discovery as a threat to carefully maintained political balances. Hyun pulled up holographic images showing the quantum anomaly's progression. It moved like a living organism, consuming energy from surrounding star systems. Mathematical models suggested that within a week, it would start destroying entire planetary ecosystems. "This isn't natural," he explained to the crew. "Something is guiding this. It's not random cosmic energy. It's targeted, deliberate." The ship's small conference room became their war room. Maps of galactic regions flickered on the walls, showing the anomaly's projected path. Red zones indicated total destruction, while yellow zones suggested partial system collapse. Su-Jin began designing modification protocols for their quantum drive. If they could create a disruption field, they might be able to slow down or potentially redirect the anomaly. But it was a massive risk. One wrong calculation could accelerate the destruction. "We're talking about a quantum intervention that has never been attempted," she explained, pointing to complex diagrams. "Theoretical models suggest a 60% chance of success, 40% chance we might make things worse." Jay understood the stakes. Their reputation was already destroyed. If they did nothing, billions would die. If they tried and failed, they would be remembered as the final cause of a galactic catastrophe. "We move forward," she declared. The crew worked in synchronized silence. Years of training, of working together under extreme conditions, had created a bond stronger than official military structures. They trusted each other completely. Outside the ship's reinforced windows, the quantum anomaly continued to grow. It moved with a purpose that seemed almost sentient, consuming energy, expanding its boundaries. No official scientific body had ever recorded anything like this before. Hyun's final calculations showed a terrifying prediction. If left unchecked, the anomaly would consume approximately 37% of known galactic territories within 2 standard weeks. Entire civilizations would be erased, their histories, cultures, and populations simply gone. "We are," Jay said quietly, looking at her crew. "Possibly the only ones who can stop this." The Resolute drifted forward, a small beacon of hope against an impossible cosmic threat. Branded as traitors, cast out from their previous lives, they were now the galaxy's unexpected defenders. The small workshop inside the Resolute buzzed with intense activity. Su-Jin worked like a machine, her hands moving faster than seemed humanly possible. Scattered around her were components that no standard engineering manual would ever recognize. Modified quantum collectors, custom-built energy redirectors, and prototype stabilization modules. "We have limited resources," she muttered, welding 2 complex circuits together. Everything must be perfect. Captain J. Park watched from the doorway, understanding that their survival depended entirely on Su-Jin's extraordinary skills. The engineer had a reputation for creating miracles from broken equipment. Now, she would need to create something beyond a miracle. Hyun entered the workshop carrying a set of advanced computational models. His neural interface flickered with complex mathematical projections that danced like living algorithms around his head. "The quantum anomaly is growing faster than our initial predictions," he reported. Su-Jin didn't look up from her work. Her welding torch continued its precise dance, transforming standard ship components into something entirely new. The modifications she was making would push their quantum drive beyond any known technological limits. "We have maybe 48 hours, Hyun continued. "After that, the anomaly will reach a point of no return." The crew of the Resolute had become more than just a team. They were survivors, outcasts who had been rejected by the very organizations they once served. Being branded as traitors had given them a unique advantage. They had nothing left to lose. Spare parts from 3 different technological systems were being combined. A cooling system from an old mining vessel. Quantum collectors originally designed for deep space exploration. Energy redirectors pulled from experimental research stations. Su-Jin was creating something entirely new. "This isn't just about modifying our ship," she explained, her voice calm despite the high-stakes situation. "We're creating a quantum disruption mechanism that has never existed before." Jay understood the risks. Their intervention could either save multiple star systems or potentially make the situation dramatically worse. The mathematical probability of success was low, perhaps 30% at best. Hyun began running complex simulations. Holographic models showed potential intervention scenarios, each one more dangerous than the last. The quantum anomaly wasn't just growing. It was learning, adapting, consuming energy from surrounding star systems. "It's intelligent," Hyun said suddenly. "This isn't a random cosmic event. Something is guiding this destruction." The workshop became their war room. Star charts, quantum, energy projections, and complex mathematical models covered every available surface. Each crew member worked with a focus that bordered on obsession. Su-Jin's modifications would transform the Resolute's quantum drive into something unprecedented. It wasn't just a propulsion system anymore. It was becoming a targeted intervention weapon. Every calculation, every welded circuit, every redirected energy flow was a potential lifeline for billions of unknown beings. "We'll need to get incredibly close," she explained, showing a complex diagram. "Close enough to deliver a precise quantum disruption pulse." The risks were enormous. Getting close to the anomaly meant potential total destruction of their ship. Their shields would be pushed beyond design specifications. One miscalculation could mean instant annihilation. Jay watched her crew work. They had been cast out, rejected, branded as traitors. But in this moment, they were humanity's last hope. No official military organization knew about the threat. No diplomatic channels were open to them. "We are," Jay said quietly. "The only ones who can stop this." Hyun continued running simulations. Su-Jin continued her modifications. The Resolute drifted silently through space, a small vessel carrying the potential salvation of entire civilizations. Outside the ship's windows, distant stars continued to shine, unaware of the desperate preparations happening inside this small, modified spacecraft. The quantum anomaly continued to grow, consuming energy, expanding its destructive reach. But something was different now. The Resolute was preparing to fight back. The Resolute shuddered violently as it approached the quantum anomaly's outer membrane. Alarms screamed across the ship's internal systems, red warning lights painting everything in an angry crimson glow. "Hull integrity at 62%, Su-Jin shouted, her hands flying across emergency control panels. Sparks erupted from multiple electrical conduits, creating a dangerous dance of electricity around her. Captain J. Park gripped her command chair, her knuckles turning white. Every system was being pushed beyond its designed limits. The quantum anomaly responded to their approach like a living organism, sending waves of destructive energy that threatened to tear the ship apart. Hyun's voice remained calm despite the chaos. Quantum disruption sequence initiating in 3, 2, 1. A massive blue-white energy wave erupted from the Resolute's modified quantum drive. It looked like liquid lightning, twisting and turning through the dark spaces between stars. The anomaly seemed to pause, as if surprised by the unexpected intervention. The ship's internal temperature rose dramatically. Metal components began to strain and warp under extreme stress. Each crew member was strapped into their stations knowing that a single moment of failure could mean total destruction. "We're penetrating the first energy layer," Hyun reported, his neural interface connecting directly with the ship's computer. Complex mathematical calculations danced across his vision, predicting potential outcomes with split-second precision. Soo-jin had transformed the ship's standard quantum drive into something entirely new. It wasn't just a propulsion system anymore. It was a weapon designed to disrupt quantum-level interactions. Her modifications were theoretical at best, completely impossible according to standard engineering principles. Outside the reinforced windows, reality itself seemed to bend. Quantum waves crashed against the ship's protective shields, creating patterns that no human eyes had ever witnessed before. It was like watching the fundamental fabric of the universe twist and fight against their intrusion. Structural integrity failing, the ship's computer announced in a calm, almost disinterested voice. Recommendation: immediate retreat. Jay knew retreat wasn't an option. They had come too far, sacrificed too much to turn back now. The anomaly fought back. Waves of destructive energy tried to penetrate the Resolute's shields, seeking to crush the tiny human vessel. But each attack was met with a carefully calculated counter-response from Hyun's quantum disruption sequence. "We're creating microfractures in its energy structure," Hyun said, a hint of excitement breaking through his professional tone. "It's working." Soo-jin monitored the quantum drive's temperature. It was approaching critical levels, but she had built-in fail-safe mechanisms that would push the technology beyond its known limitations. The ship rattled like it was being shaken by an enormous, invisible hand. Crew members were pressed into their seats by incredible gravitational forces. Blood vessels strained, muscles tensed, but no one complained. They were united in their mission. Jay watched the holographic displays, seeing how their intervention was slowly creating gaps in the anomaly's massive energy structure. It was like watching a complex machine being carefully taken apart, one microscopic component at a time. "Another push," she commanded. "Maximum quantum disruption." Hyun's fingers danced across the controls. The ship's quantum drive pulsed with an intensity that defied known physics. For a brief moment, it seemed like the entire universe held its breath, and then something extraordinary happened. The quantum anomaly began to fracture, not collapse, not explode, but systematically break down into smaller, manageable energy patterns. The destructive force that had threatened multiple star systems was being systematically neutralized. "We're doing it," Soo-jin whispered, hardly believing her own sensors. The Resolute continued its delicate dance, pushing against the cosmic threat with everything it had. A ship of exiles, of so-called traitors, was saving billions of lives without anyone even knowing. Just another day in the life of humanity's unexpected heroes. The Galactic Confederation's monitoring station suddenly erupted with impossible data. Screens flickered with quantum readings that defied all previous scientific understanding. Technicians stared in disbelief, their hands frozen over control panels. Somewhere in deep space, the Resolute drifted quietly, its systems barely functioning. The quantum anomaly had been neutralized, but at an enormous cost. Captain J. Park lay unconscious in the medical bay, her body covered in advanced healing patches. Hyun sat nearby, monitoring her vital signs, his own injuries still raw and painful. Soo-jin had managed to keep the ship's critical systems operational during their final intervention. The first official transmission came 3 standard days later. A high-ranking Confederation diplomat, her holographic image flickering with uncertainty, appeared on the ship's communication panel. We need to understand what happened," she said, her voice betraying a mix of confusion and reluctant respect. Hyun explained their intervention. Complex data streams showed how the Resolute had systematically disrupted a quantum-based threat that would have destroyed multiple star systems. Each mathematical projection, each energy calculation proved their incredible achievement. The diplomatic records would later show that the Resolute's crew had saved approximately 2.3 billion lives across 7 different alien civilizations. The quantum anomaly, which initial reports had considered an unstoppable cosmic event, had been completely neutralized. We were the only ones who could see the threat, Hyun reported clinically. Our previous mission's experience gave us the unique perspective to recognize and intervene. Soo-jin's modifications to the quantum drive became an instant subject of scientific fascination. Research teams would spend years studying the incredible technology she had developed under extreme pressure. What seemed impossible had become reality. The Galactic Confederation's investigation revealed a shocking truth. The quantum anomaly wasn't a random event. It was a targeted destruction mechanism created by a hostile civilization attempting to destabilize multiple star systems. The Resolute's intervention had not just saved lives, it had prevented a massive, carefully planned galactic attack. Jay slowly recovered in the medical bay. Each day brought more official communications, more requests for detailed reports. The WOW crew that had been branded as traitors was now being discussed as potential saviors. Redemption was never our goal, Jay told the diplomatic team during her first official debriefing. Survival was. Official medals were prepared. Career rehabilitations were discussed. But the crew of the Resolute understood something more profound. They had done what was necessary, regardless of official recognition. The ship itself bore the scars of their intervention. Massive hull damage, burnt-out quantum systems, and structural weaknesses told the story of their incredible journey. Engineers who later examined the Resolute could hardly believe it had survived such an extreme mission. Hyun continued analyzing the quantum data. Each review revealed more incredible details about their intervention. They hadn't just stopped a threat. They had fundamentally changed how the Galactic Confederation would understand quantum threats in the future. Soo-jin began documenting her technological modifications. Her work would become the foundation of new quantum defensive technologies. Research institutions fought for the opportunity to study her incredible innovations. The stars outside seemed different now. Where once there had been potential destruction, now there was possibility. The Resolute drifted through space, no longer just a ship of exiles, but a symbol of unexpected human capability. We were never traitors, Jay would later say in her official report. We were just the ones willing to do what was necessary. The Galactic Confederation's records would be permanently changed. The story of the Resolute would become a legend, a tale of how a group of cast-out humans became the unexpected defenders of multiple civilizations. In the vast darkness of space, hope had found a new meaning, and it looked exactly like the battered, modified spacecraft called the Resolute.